Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very interesting story. Now, what's not to say if the story fully true or not, but I'm going to go through the list of my story, okay? I'm going to put it on TikTok. But of course, I'm not saying it actually happened, but I'm saying, hey, who knows? One day I was born, okay? And when I was born, I was realizing that I was isolated in my mother's house, okay? And she abused me for years. And so over the years, I had a stepdad too, and he abused me over the years as well. I was locked in a room, didn't like going outside, and this is just my story that I'm going to tell. So eventually, over time, I started meditating and focusing on listening to my mother, or I would get a whipping each time, even though for some little things that I had other brothers and sisters. Okay, I was the oldest of all my three brothers and three sisters. Okay, and so as I was living, I lived in a bubble. I didn't really go outside or anything like that. I always wore like an Eskimo coat on. Okay, I covered myself up in 80-degree temperatures because I was so bashful. One day I had an accident. Okay, but my mom never fixed my teeth. My teeth was really fucked up. And me, when I was younger, I always wanted to be like a cop or something like that because I didn't like to be abused or touched or anything. And eventually, I didn't like school, so I got picked on. Okay. During school, I had learned eventually an ability to, take out people who caused me problems, who were bullying on me. I was kind of like a mental arsonist because people houses were burned. I would think a certain way, and then people houses were burned. And then I learned something. Okay, just by learning certain things, I learned how to do the arsonist stuff and burn people houses down and stuff, because of my bullying. And I only had targeted those who bullied me, okay, right? But I learned these abilities because I learned an ability from me, from a voice, okay? The voices came to me in the darkness because my stepdad one day was like fucking with me and I wanted to chop his head off with a machete, right? And so the voices came to me and told me, if you just listen to us, like Freddy Krueger in one of that movies and stuff, that if you do this, we will take out all of the people who fuck with you. Okay. And now it's like, I don't believe you. So yes, you shall sit back and you shall do nothing. Okay. That's what the demons and the angels told me. And so I heard three demons, three deities. One of them is a demon. Okay, I could say one of them is a demon because he tells me magic spells. Okay, and then there's another one named Socrates to question everything, and then there's a third one which is Jesus, which tells me I'm God. Okay, so these rational beings told me these things just to protection because I basically wanted to be protected. Okay, that's all I cared about when I was a child. Just wanted to be protected. But as I tried to fraternize with people in life, I didn't really fit in too much because I was very eccentric, because I was different. So I would go around trying to look for bullies because I got tired of bullying. But then one thing led to another, and eventually I turned 18, 17, 16. In Brooklyn, New York, you don't walk outside past 8 o'clock p.m. The crack pandemic was definitely going on. But eventually I moved to Pennsylvania. My grandma was a black witch. She would sacrifice some things. She didn't really know what she was doing because you know how it is with people who don't like to involved with doing thorough research, but they just put themselves in a situation and all of a sudden cause themselves to be cursed. So I was trying to learn certain things from my grandmother, who was a black witch. She wasn't really a good person. Okay, so next thing you know, I always was looking for a girlfriend. But my teeth was really messed up. Okay, I'll continue this story. Okay, but you don't. I'll continue the story on the YouTube if you want me to. Just ask me. Okay. And so as I lived in Pennsylvania, I moved. My mother moved me because she no longer needed me because she was feeding off the system for welfare and stuff like that. Most women are public charges. Okay, I learned a lot of psychology before I left Brooklyn, New York. I caused a lot of people suffering and sorrow that caused me suffering. Okay. I had learned the ability to learn from the pimps and the hustlers and some Italians and stuff like that on how to deal with women, and I did. And when came to Pennsylvania, I learned how to be a full-fledged fetish gigolo. Okay, and as I was being a fetish gigolo, I was getting paid. I was on MySpace and stuff like that. I was very popular. Okay, just like on YouTube, I mean, just like on TikTok, because I got 1,000 followers and stuff like that. So I would give a lot of guys advice to protect themselves and stuff. I was a really OG. They called me. Okay, they told me I should join their clique and everything else like that. But I made some good profit. Okay, I never really liked sleeping with any female who was not a virgin. Okay, and I always believed in polygyny ever since I was young. Learned from the pimps and hustlers. So, long story short, I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and then not actually Pennsylvania. I lived with my grandmother, who was not very good to me. And I used to walk in the woods in the dark all of the time until one day I found a stick. I found a magic stick, and this stick shocked my hand when I touched it. And when I touched it, I was like, "Oh, I received another ability. Here, speak." I would say some stuff, and then it would come to light. Okay, my demon and angels was telling me, "Hey, you do have a special ability. Use it wisely. Come great power, come great responsibility." Right? So I was like testing this shit out. Is this shit real? Okay, you know what I'm saying? So I would come across imbeciles who would come across my path, and they would play games with me, try to befriend me, to be associated with me, and then next thing you know, I would use it on them as a test because I knew they wasn't really my type of people because I had no sins in my past and I didn't do really nothing wrong. Okay, right? Next thing you know, they end up getting cancer or dying or their house or they get moved somewhere. I would test things by knocking on the wall, or I would hug trees because this energy was such pureness for myself to protect myself. And then, long story short, my grandma eventually passed away. Okay, after she had moved from Pennsylvania and put me in the street. Okay, she put me in the street, and I lived on the streets for like a couple of years, and I got out of it. But my grandma didn't want me to live with her. Okay, because she thought I was a curse. Okay, or some shit like that. She hid my magic stick. Okay, and she died after she moved from Clairton, Pennsylvania, and I was supposed to be with her, but she didn't want me to be with her, and she had my magic stick. I was really focused on my magic stick. She didn't treat me well, okay, but because I was supposed to be living with my grandma when I was a baby, but my mom said no. She wanted to feed off the system and stuff like that, and yada yada yada. So long story short, she moved to Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh, and my grandma eventually died. Okay, in that house. Okay, over up on the hill and stuff. And then I was missing my magic stick, so I cleaned the house. I cleaned the house up. Okay, and I found my magic stick. It was very strange because I don't really need the magic stick for power, but the power is already given to me. Transference from the stick. You know how I found that stick when I was in Clairton? Okay, I found the stick in the middle of the woods somewhere, but there was no trees in the area where the stick fell. It was like it's already made for me. It was pretty weird. I still have it to this day, but you don't have to believe me for that. Okay, so I found the magic stick wrapped up in some Christmas tree. The house was coming down, falling apart. It was weird, okay, because she was such not a good person. And it was she killed the cat down in her basement and stuff, and she was into tarot card readings and stuff. She even did me a reading, so she did me a reading too. And I told my grandma, "You're doing it wrong because even though you're reading it, you're not using enough energy. You're putting your negative influence on me." But I didn't really care because I was praying for death because I was suffering because I was such pure-hearted individual, and I wanted to see how much chaos could come my way so it could just be reflected reflected with my angels and demons. Okay, because they do everything for me. Okay, so I'm like, yo, guess what? She said that you had a son. The son was last on the tarot card reading, and I was like, shit. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get some money. Okay, what about the girls? The girls was all upside down. There was never a female that was sitting upright with the tarot card reading. And I said, I don't care. I'll just take advantage of them. I'll take advantage of the situation, not to trust any females. And so now, in the situation I'm in, I'll go for part two later on. This is part of my life. Okay, there's a lot of missing stories in between. And I became a powerful wizard, and I traveled overseas to Ethiopia and shit. My dreams and visions and premonitions told me in advance what I would seek. And I met many women because I was a fetish gigolo, remember? And so I would get paid for my services. Eventually, I met a female overseas, okay, in Ethiopia. And before I left there, I was being taken care of by many multitudes of women. But the last one, her name was Dawn, okay? She took care of me very well, okay? But she didn't really respect me too much. But she did pay for me for my services. And she was being pleased sexually very gratifyingly, okay? Eventually bad things happened to her because she kept doing bad things by me. And she owed me her soul, okay? And so she owed me money. The only way to free the curse is she paid me back my money. But other than that, that's all I want to say for right now because I traveled to Ethiopia, and that is for another story for another day. And can you come out to play? Okay. I killed like 13 women, but I didn't kill them. Okay. They killed themselves. And I killed like millions of people because they laughed at me like Harry. But other than that, that's another story for the other day. Peace.